Good morning, everyone. We're going to start the service, and we have a very special guest presenter and guest speaker who's also a musician. Becky Shipman is going to do a very special original opening song for us to open the service. Please welcome Becky.
Fingernails and a PhD, a greasy coveralls and a cup of herbal tea, motorcycle jacket and high-heeled shoes, straight girl or gay man, can you choose? Labels, boxes, stereotypes, I have a certain ambiguity, so please be careful what you think you see. There's no one label that covers me. I have a certain ambiguity. Deep voice on the phone, sound like a male. Long and curly hair from behind female. Funny wrinkled face with no facial hair. Workshop, kitchen, dance floor, conflicting who's there. Labels, boxes, stereotypes. I have a certain ambiguity. So please be careful what you think you see. There's no one label that covers me. I have a certain ambiguity. I do it too. Everyone I find, it's how my brain works, the patterns in my mind. But I try to peel the label as soon as they speak. Another human being, it's okay, they're unique. Labels, boxes, people aren't files. I have a certain ambiguity. So please be careful what you think you see. There's no one label that covers me. I have a certain ambiguity. No more labels, no more boxes. Colors, genders, identities. In the world I want to live in, there is room for ambiguity. I have a certain ambiguity. There's no one label that covers me. Get to know me and you'll see I have a certain ambiguity.
And I'm Carolyn, your worship associate for today. Reverend Anthony is out on the pulpit. So today we want to extend a special welcome to any first-time visitors or guests, or if you haven't been with us for a while, just please raise your hand so we can just acknowledge people that are visiting. Wow! So we're going to do something a little different with opening words, and I'm going to call up Chris to start.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. The club shooting in Colorado Springs happened on the eve of Transgender Day of Remembrance. 5 people lost their lives. Daniel Aston, 28-year-old trans man, nightclub bar supervisor and beloved by the patrons.
Derek Room, a gay bartender who, along with Daniel, made everyone feel welcome.
Raymond Green Vance, age 22, visiting with his girlfriend's family. The dad was the Army veteran who disarmed the shooter.
Kelly Loving, 40-year-old trans woman who had just moved to Colorado and was a first-time patron.
Ashley Pugh, mom to 11-year-old daughter. She worked at Kids Crossing to help foster children find homes. What a loss. And we honor them and all people, all the victims, because we did have a Remembrance last Sunday at Mary Fisher, and there were 40 names read. And unfortunately, we got into that. So, thank you very much for your years. And now we are going to, if you look at your order of service, we're going to repeat the shared affirmation of mission. This fellowship is a welcoming, diverse, and nurturing, beloved community that promotes progressive religious thought and practice to create a more loving, just, and sustainable world. Okay, now is the time for announcements. If you raise your hand, I'll call you up. Michelle.
Good morning, everybody. I just want to make a final announcement. Anything that you want in the newsletter has to be to me by Tuesday night, the 29th. You can look on the back of your order of service, and the email address to the editor is there. If you have a directory, you can look under my last name, Snyder, and you'll see my personal email. I'll take it either way. But I just want to let you know. Thank you.
Hello.
Okay, Court.
Welcome everybody. You might not know me, I know I'm here today. Some of you may not have gotten this announcement, but there is a new local store owned by Lydia's sister, Glow, and her husband, Michael Mendoza. And they're going to be donating 10% of the proceeds of their sales now between Thanksgiving up till Christmas to the Hope House. And the name of the store is called All Aglow Artisans of Sedona. And it is located in the Vista Village Shopping Center in Hillsborough Creek. So there are several artisans who are selling their work at that store, but the donations are just going to be from Glow and My House Jewelry. But they're having to show the shoppers all the products that are theirs, and the store hours are Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 5. So in case you have any holiday shopping to do, please go ahead and consider shopping there to support the Home House. Thank you.
And I have an announcement about our Christmas and holiday party event, concert, music event on December 18th. This is a SUV-produced event, and it's a fundraiser for SUV, and it's going to be a lot of fun. My band, Miller, Martin, and Key, is going to present, is going to do the Rock and Jolly Holiday Show with, some great rock and roll, some jazz, some Latin, some classical, swing. It's, anything from Bruce Springsteen to the Ronettes to the Temptations to Celine Dion and Andrea Bocelli. It's, traditional. And the guitars, mandolin, ukulele, and four voices. And So we hope you'll all be involved and attend. We do have a need for volunteers. Maybe Tanya may have an idea of where we are in terms of the staffing for the volunteers. I don't know where she is. Oh, there she is. Okay. Do we still need helpers?
A few, sure.
Okay, so yeah, we have areas like ticketing, food, the bar, and decorating the room, setting up the room, breaking down the room afterwards. So these are all areas where we need volunteers to help us out. You can see Tanya if you want to volunteer to help out at the event. It's a lot of fun to be a part of putting it on, as well as attending. And then the other thing we want to let you know is that we would like you all to be able to attend. And if anybody feels like it's a stretch, because the tickets are $35, we still want you to be able to attend. And please let Tanya know if we can provide a ticket for you. And we'll get a number of folks that we need to cover, and a week before or a couple weeks before, we'll ask the rest of the congregation to help us cover that. So please don't be shy. We want everybody to join the party. It's going to be a lot of fun. And it's December 18th, and that's all I have to say. Oh, tickets are on sale? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Cora. Tickets are on sale with who's selling tickets? Michelle and Helen, and is that it? Okay,
Yeah.
so they're selling physical tickets. You can buy them after the service, and then you can tell your friends, because it's open to the public. We've got 200 seats that we can fill. So please tell your friends they can buy tickets online on my website, SusannahMartinMusic.com. Yes.
And remind you where it's at.
And it's at the Hub, Posse Grounds, Road. And we do have a premium ticket for reserved seating. If you want to sit in the first few rows and you don't want to have to get there early to get a good seat, it's $5 more. And you can buy that in person, or you can buy that online. You just can't buy those at the door, okay? All right, and we will sell tickets at the door as well.
Well, I didn't bring my bottle of wine with me today. I reminisced last week about the word wino, and I'm starting to think wino. I can't stop thinking about wine. All of you to consider bringing donations. That's what we're hoping to get enough donations of wine that we don't have to use the proceeds to purchase the wine. So I'll remind you again, if you can donate a bottle or two of wine, we want white or red. And you can bring it here to the service. There are boxes in the back there, and they've already gotten a good start. So please keep that in mind.
Can you bring it on the night, right to the place, or you don't
Actually,
know?
you kind of need to know how many people. We'll have a good idea about a week before how many people are signed up, and then we'll know how much we need. But we might end up sending it back home with you if we've already. Okay. There you go. Thank you.
Sarah? Yeah, just a quick heads up, University Women have our meeting the first Monday of every month. It'll be December 5th, and we're having a little boutique auction. It's going to be a holiday party. The members have been asked to bring something worth at least $20, a treasure at home. They don't need a piece of jewelry, art, baked goods that are starting for 10. So please come and join us. You'll see a lot of student ladies there. You don't have to be a woman. You don't have to attend the university or a university. And our mission is to raise money to send ladies who had put their careers on hold to go to school back with a scholarship. So please join us December 5th at 9:30.
Anyone tell them they'll be in the newsletter as well? Want to tell them the information will be in the newsletter as well?
Oh, yes, we're going to put the information in the newsletter, give it to Michelle, and the meeting is at the Christ Lutheran Church, which is on the other side of the fire station at the Circle there. So,
You don't have to be a member.
have to be a member. In fact, bring your friends and just come and have a good time with us. We'll have some music, maybe, I'm not sure. Dr. Key? Yes. Susannah's other half will be playing holiday songs for us, so join us.
I don't know.
Right here.
So I'm just adding to the holiday party news. Pat Kapitkin is in charge of the food and beverages and things. And she asked me to ask you to sign up for whatever you like to bake or whatever appetizers you like to make. There's a sign-up sheet just outside this door to your left. Again, it's a fundraiser, so as many donations as we can get, that helps Sue. Thank you.
Now it is time for our chalice lighting. Living with Pride by Lori Hall. We light our chalice flame for those who live their lives in closets of shame. For those who furtively visited bars where nobody knew their name. For the Stonewall riot and fierce trans women who fought. For the plague, which still takes far too many, too young and too soon. So many gone, so many never lived to see. Out gay kids singing on TV. Out gay people serving in the military. Marriage equality. Families formed by intention. We light our chalice flame for all of these, and for all our siblings in the rainbow, surviving, living life out in the open. Amen. And now, we're going to have, are you ready to sing? Or are we going to have JJ?
That's opening song and then reading. Yeah.
Yes, now we're going to have an opening song where we invite everyone to sing along on the song True Colors. You can sing along with the whole thing. We've got all the words there, or if you just want to sing on the chorus, that's fine too. Or you can just listen. That's all good.
Sad eyes, don't be discouraged, though I realize it's hard to take courage in a world full of people. You can lose sight of it all, and the darkness inside you can make you feel so small. But I see your true colors shining through. I see your true colors. That's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show your true colors. True colors are beautiful. Like a rainbow. That's right. Show me a smile then. Don't be unhappy, can't remember when I last saw you laughing. If this world makes you crazy, and you've taken all you can bear, you call me up, because you know I'll be there, and I'll see your true colors shining through. I see your true colors. That's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show your true colors. True colors are beautiful, like a rainbow. So beautiful. You with the sad eyes, don't be discouraged, oh I realize it's hard to take courage in a world full of people. You can lose sight of it all, the darkness inside you can make you feel so small. I see your true colors shining through. I see your true colors. That's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show your true colors. True colors are beautiful. Like a rainbow, like a rainbow. Ooh. Don't be unhappy. Can't remember when I last saw you laughing. If this world makes you crazy and you taking all you can bear, you call me up because you know I'll be there. And I see your true colors shining through. I see your true colors, and that's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show your true colors. Your true colors are beautiful, like a rainbow, like a rainbow. Very nice.
And now we're going to have a reading read by J.J. O'Brien, who, I want to say, is president of Sedona. Are you that big flag? No? Secretary. Oh, how does this happen? You do it all. You have been president,
Yes.
and now you're secretary.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Diversity.
Yes.
Hey, this is a reading called Rainbow Blessing by Cricket Hall. May the drag stage rise to meet you. May the world rise to accept and embrace you. May the rainbow of love enfold you. May your fluidity never be hindered. May your pronouns always be supported and your dead name forgotten. May those you invite into your life remain loyal. May your chosen family lift you up and catch you when you need it. May you be able to catch others when they need it. May you remember sensitivity is not weakness, but instead a great strength welling up inside you. And until we meet again, may you remember that you are loved and you are divine.
We at the Sedona Unitarian Universalist Fellowship are pleased to welcome Becky Shipman, who I met at a PFLAG meeting. And Becky was born in 1958 in Massachusetts, and she attended Cornell University in Ithaca and has a degree in chemical engineering. She eventually moved to Minnesota. She had a job at 3M. She got married and raised 2 children. And then in 2000, she started to address her long-standing gender identity issues by transitioning. After a contentious divorce and a custody battle, she won joint custody. And at her job with 3M, she chaired the LGBTQA+ employee resource group. In 2019, Becky moved to Sedona to retire, and she recently was secretary for People Advocates. Her interests are writing and performing music, hiking, and paddleboarding on the Verde River. I give you Becky, who will speak about her journey. The sermon title is Be Who You Are. Becky.
All right, so the title is Be Who You Are, but that's really step 2. I have like a 4-step kind of philosophy around that. So figure out who you are, step 1. Be who you are is step 2. Be honest about who you are with anyone who matters to you is step 3. And step 4 is try to be kind to everybody else. For me, those first 2 took a while to get there. So I'll talk a little bit about my journey as a kid. Found I wanted to play with the girls, didn't fit in with the boys too much, but there becomes an age where you kind of segregate around first grade or whatever. The boys do these things and the girls do that thing, so separated out. It took me a while to learn how to be a boy, and there was, I didn't do it all that well, I guess, because there was a lot of bullying involved, and sometimes I would be called a woman by the people that maybe they knew something I didn't know at the time. So I got older, I had a desire to cross-dress, and did that every now and then. And I didn't really know anything. There wasn't, this was in the 60s and 70s, and I didn't really know much about transgender folks or whatever. And so I was watching TV one day, and it was the Merv Griffin show. I'm looking at the age here, people probably know what that is. And they had someone there who was a trans woman talking about how, wow, this is really interesting. And my dad walked into the room, and he got a red face, and the veins popped out, and it's like, that is not a woman, that is a man. This is not right. And so it's like, okay, better not talk to Dad about any of this stuff. That was kind of the message I took out of that. That actually stuck with me as a parent, and I'll talk about that a little later. As I grew older, went to college, I had some relationships with women and started to work a little, cross-dressing into that and talking a little bit about that stuff. And sometimes that was okay, and sometimes it wasn't. But one of the things that I think it's important to know, and I think it's common with a lot of people. So about from like 6th grade on, I had a lot of suicidal ideation thoughts. I thought about suicide just about every day. It was kind of like a little, I even got to use it as like a little crutch. It would be like, I can make it through today, and then I can kill myself tomorrow, So it's like a way to kind of get through. And, and I've looked at some statistics for this talk, and they're kind of all over the place, but it's not uncommon, I guess I would say, for people with gender dysphoria type things to have those thoughts, especially as teenagers. And that's one reason why I'm really, I'm big on there being accepting environments, so people have some support around that. So, let's see, at one point in college, I had a relationship that was pretty solid, and we were engaged. Her name was Tori, and she was from Baltimore, so she was kind of okay with the cross-dressing thing, but we talked about it some, and she said, well, there's this gender clinic here at Johns Hopkins, maybe you want to talk to them. And I didn't know that much about them at the time. I said, okay, get some expert opinions and stuff. And that was a really interesting experience looking back on it. What I didn't understand at the time, so this was 1982, roughly. And the person in charge of the gender program at Johns Hopkins was a man named Paul McHugh. He was in charge from 1975 to 2001. And his perspective was that there really wasn't any such thing as trans women. What it was homosexual men who were trying to find a guilt-free way to be homosexual. So it's like, well, if you're a woman, it's okay. Right? So that was his perspective on it. And so, never really been attracted to men, but when I was in the interview, or in the process with them and getting it was like a day-long evaluation thing with several people, they would ask about fantasies and things that would happen, or things that I would dreams that I would have and stuff. And it was really kind of odd because anything that had that was longer than it was wide, that was mentioned in the dream, kind of came up as a thing. I think they were looking for, phallic symbols or something like that in my dreams and things. So anyway, at the end they said, you're not trans, you're not a trans woman, just, cross-dress every now and then and just deal with it. And so, being, all right, I went to the experts, that's what they said, that's what we're going to do. Tara and I never did get married, but a few years down the road, I was in grad school at Berkeley, and I met Deb, and I told her about this, my desire to cross-dress and the thing with Johns Hopkins and being evaluated and all that, and she said, well, I guess that's okay, but just don't do anything about it. And so, so we kind of went on. Our marriage was not great for a lot of reasons, but so I guess the thing I'd like to pull out when you're, when you're not who you are, you tend to not, for something as basic as what your gender is, you also tend to not be who you are in other things in your life. It leaves you a little bit vulnerable to certain kinds of people in any way. So the marriage wasn't great, but we did have kids, and so after and threw myself into trying to be a good parent for the kids and all that kind of thing. And the suicidal ideation stuff was still there, and so in a way that the kids kind of made a difference that way, because I remember standing on this. So for 3M, I designed and installed and trained people to use equipment that puts adhesive on it. It's really big and sticky. So I remember standing on top of this coding machine and thinking about, again, the suicidal ideation, and thinking about jumping into it. And that, what was different about it this time is I thought about the kids, and I read stuff. It's like really bad for kids, for the parents to commit suicide. So at that point, I decided to seek help again, and through a process, I became involved with a gender clinic at the University of Minnesota, and they had a different opinion. They said, "Oh, sounds like you are kind of a classic case of trans woman." So. Throughout that whole process, I kind of kept my wife at the time, Deb, informed, and her thing was, we're going to get divorced and you're never going to see the kids again. And so we had this custody battle that went on for a year and a half, roughly, and what was interesting about it, and felt kind of affirming, and maybe it was a little bit of a case law thing, the guardian ad litem, who's the lawyer for the kids in the process that the court appoints, she thought I should have full custody. And the thought that we could make joint custody work. And after a lot of time and money and bitterness, my ex-wife just agreed on the joint custody, so that's how that kind of worked out. My family's really conservative, and they went as far as they could go, I think, in terms of their own beliefs and things like that. They were okay with pronouns, and, you know, would call me by my new name. They weren't going to change how they voted or what they believed religiously, and they, you know, would occasionally make little jokes and stuff, but, you know, they didn't kick me out of the family. Maybe I can say the kids helped that way too, because they really didn't want to keep in touch with the grandkids. So. And occasionally, this is kind of funny, my parents were really into classical music, and they lived in Maine, and they had there was a school there, and the person who ran the school was a gay man who was married to another man. And my mom kept wanting me to go and introduce myself to him, so it would look like they're very supportive of LGBTQ folks, so that was kind of funny. The kids, parenting part of it, the kids handled it pretty well for the most part, but, you know, and I took them both to see some therapists to talk a little bit about it. And the thing that was a little bit odd was they always wanted to call me, you know, their dad, so it's their dad, Becky. And I said, well, when you say that to your friends, you're going to get some interesting responses, but no, that's what they wanted to do. So that's how we went. Sometimes they wanted their friends around, and sometimes not so much. It was, you know, there's a little bit of back and forth depending on which friends and how they felt about it. But we did pretty well all in all. So I had this rule as a parent with the kids, and that came from that incident with my dad when I was little. And it's like, so I have this thing that in the moment they can say anything they want, and I won't have a strong negative reaction. You know, and sometimes I would say some things, you know, even about my whole transition process that was maybe challenging for them. And, but, you know, and we may talk about it more later and that kind of thing, but in the moment they can say anything. And for me, that's advice I give to any parent around their kids, because you have to be able to, you know, they have to be able to talk to you, or you won't find out what's going on in their lives. And so, you know, in a backwards way, I kind of learned that, and that was really helpful. So the workplace, transitioning in the workplace. So I was a research engineer for 3M, and I told a few people, and I kind of got outed to my boss before I was ready. So there's this divorce process, and the court people are saying, you know, don't transition until, you know, we get this all settled. That would be the best thing. And we're saying the same thing. And then at work, once my boss found out, I said, no, we don't want to have, like, some people know and some people not. Everybody's got to know everything. So I had a transition at work kind of faster than I was hoping to have it, and not at home. So that was kind of back and forth thing. It was kind of weird for a while. It's kind of funny, they had this, so to announce it, they had this department-wide meeting, and I wasn't there. They were going to announce it, but they didn't talk about what the meeting was about. Everybody come to this department-wide meeting, and we have this announcement. And that actually worked out in my favor, because people were really worried that there were going to be layoffs. So what ended up happening was, okay, so there's like big relief for everybody. You know, it's like this, okay. And most people at work were pretty cool with it. There were a few. I thought there were going to be a few who were going to have some issues. And it was funny. There were some things both ways. There were some who I thought were going to be, you know, a little bit of a problem around it, and it turned out some of those were fine. And then there were some who I thought would be really supportive, and maybe they weren't. So it was kind of back and forth. There was the whole, for a period of time, there was the whole bathroom thing, which was really big back then. This was, 2002, I guess. So the decision from HR was that I had to use single stall lockable bathrooms. So until I had surgery. And so I ended up finding out where all the single stall non-lockable bathrooms are around 3M. It turns out that most of them are kind of by the loading docks, because truckers come in, and the truckers are not employees, so they don't come beyond the employee barrier, you know. So there's like a single restroom for them. So, you know, I'm running out of my meeting, kind of going down to the bathroom out by the loading dock. So that was kind of interesting. And then, you know, after surgery, I didn't have to do that. Later, I kind of pointed out to them, get a little out of order here, but that's kind of a HIPAA violation, because if you know that's the rule, then you know when I've had surgery, and that's, you know, that's kind of not cool. So eventually they ended up changing that. So I had known a few other people at 3M who had transitioned on the job, but none of them had stayed on the job, and I was like the first one who stayed for an extended period of time. Most of them were there for like a year or two, and then they went somewhere else. So, so that was kind of a thing. And then I was involved with the employee resource group. It's called 3M Plus. That was their LGBTQA plus employee resource group. And I became the chair of the group, probably because I was forced to be out, more or less, and the gay and lesbian folks who mostly made up the people there were not comfortable being out in all circumstances. So, I don't like to be in charge of anything, but there you go. Felt like, okay, I can do that. And during that time, we were, the big agenda for the group then was getting domestic partner benefits approved. And they kept trying. We had like so there's the employee resource group, and we're kind of pushing for it, and then there's the diversity manager, and she was pushing for it, and then there was the head of HR who kept hearing all these things that led her to believe there'd be a big backlash if we ever did anything like that. And so it kept getting kind of squelched. And during the time that I was head of the group, we had a CEO leave suddenly. Jim McNerney, I think was his name. He was one of the Jack Welch GE people. He was in charge of 3M for a while. He left to go to Poland, I think. Anyway, so they stuck one of their board members as an interim CEO, and I looked up his background, and he was CEO of Pepsi when they adopted domestic partner benefits. So I figured, okay, I'm just going to jump around my little chain of command in HR, and so I sent him an email directly and talked about the history of it and all that. And his opinion was, what is it about 3M that keeps us from doing this when everybody else is doing it? And so we actually did get domestic partner benefits. Plus we were arguing that it should be not just for people who can't get married because of the law, but it should be for anybody with a partner, because it's kind of like an equal pay thing. They didn't go that far, but that brought us support from some of the other groups. And so it passed, and the head of HR eventually said, you know, wow, I guess I should have trusted you folks that this wasn't going to be a big problem. So that felt good. Let's see. So the other things around work, 3M has a number of factories in small towns in the South. And so my job for part of the time was to go there and you know, fix their equipment or train them on something or that kind of thing. And so it was interesting. It was different, a little different from plant to plant, but you know, like one of the plants is in rural Alabama. So inside the factory, I'm pretty much okay. I'm there, you know, I'm basically there to solve a problem and kind of help them save their jobs kind of thing. So the people inside were pretty much okay. But in the surrounding community, it was a little scary. Sometimes, you know, other people say, hey, let's go out to this little barbecue place out in the middle of nowhere. And I'm thinking, do I really feel safe doing that? and one factory, they actually assigned someone to kind of follow me around in the plant to see that nobody harassed me. And so that was kind of interesting too. So there's like
the corporation as a whole was kind of moving, but some of the factories were more autonomous, they were a little slower. My career growth was affected somewhat, and I don't know if that's, I can't say for sure that's from being transgender, but I was moved from this, really the head person in charge of this adhesive coating area to a position, a marketing position. I'm a PhD engineer, and I'm now doing a marketing job. And that happened for about 4 or 5 years, and it was kind of interesting. We do focus groups on products, and I'm a really fast typist. So my thing was, I would watch, they'd show people the products, and I would watch what they do with it, how they handle it, what they do, and I'd type down everything that they would say and all that kind of thing. And I didn't really complain a lot about it, and eventually the guy who kind of kicked me out of the coating, hot melt coating adhesive area, they had a process line that they couldn't run anymore, so they called me back to do that. And, I didn't give them I could have used that as an opportunity to kind of, give them some grief for letting me go. And I don't know, it just doesn't, it might have felt good personally, but that just doesn't seem the way to go. So, I worked again in that area until I retired. I still do a little consulting for them. So in 2019, I moved out here. And I love this area. Minnesota is dark and cold. And I get the seasonal affected thing. So the sunlight here in November, December, thank you. It's great. So I retired here. I do a lot of time hiking, and I spend a lot of time paddleboarding on the Verde River. It's just this little gift of water to the desert, and it's just stunningly beautiful. And it's really good for my nervous system. Calm me down. Really good. Love doing that. And I started doing things more musically. So the song that I sang here was the first song that I ever wrote. And after I got here, I started writing some more songs. And they're normally they're kind of about they're usually personal, but they're about things that some folks relate to. So like I have one about not hearing very well, called "Listening Too Slow." And another about taking on new things like music when you're in your 60s. And then some others are a little more topical about things that I feel strongly about. So it's personal expression. There's a book that I was really influenced by Brene Brown. It's called Braving the Wilderness. And it's about how to have constructive conversations with people who have different beliefs based on kind of understanding what the fears are underlying their belief. And I've heard this kind of technique used in something called deep canvassing, which is where you go out and talk to people about political things they may have views on, and you try to come to the underlying fear that leads to that belief. And so sometimes that strong, they might have it might sound like they have like a prejudice or a hatred kind of thing, and often it's fear-based. And if you want to try to talk to them, you kind of need to acknowledge the fear. I'm not always up for that, but sometimes, so those things have made it into some of my songs, and I will just try to briefly sing a couple lyric things to give you an idea of what's out there. So there's one song called "In Their Eyes." It's kind of about this idea of trying to understand where people are coming from and the idea of what we can do about it. So it's outside of the rule book of who we should be, defined by religion, family, society, not stuck in high school trying to fit in. Shake the Etch-a-Sketch and redraw it again. Well, that's okay. I try to put a little humor in and try to get a little bit of that kind of thing. I have this other topic that I'm really big on and makes it to some of my songs, and this is about small acts of kindness kind of changing the way the world works. I kind of believe that that's connected, I'm sure. How or why isn't clear, but when we take the time to help one another, contagious kindness appears. I don't believe in destiny, there's lots of folks who disagree. On a small enough level, we're more the same. I hope kindness glues the world together again. So, again, be who you are is kind of the topic here. That has the implication that we should help others be who they are, you know. And but again, they have to figure out who they are first. And sometimes we can help a little bit with that. Being who you are in an obvious way kind of gives other people permission to be who they are. So I think that's something that we can kind of all do. Sometimes I used to be in this hiking group that had a mixture of people, and I get some weird questions. I was like, sometimes I'm the only trans, obviously, you know, the only person who they know is a trans woman they met. So I get some weird questions, and if I can kind of answer those in a way that's you know, kind of respectful and from a place of kindness, that can help. You know, this idea of finding yourself, as a songwriter, I'm always searching for metaphors around that. So I was out hiking the other day on this overgrown trail, really hard to find the path. And so I'm thinking like the trail of our inner self or a trail of our inner child is overgrown by the weeds of like family expectations or societal norms or historical prejudice and that kind of thing. Or maybe the process is like a maze. You know, there's these false starts. You're trying to figure out who you are, and you're going down these paths, and there can be wrong turns and dead ends. But mazes with a solution or solve. Like you have the right wall, you kind of know to walk through, and you'll go through everything eventually to get there. Or you know, the paddleboarding thing is kind of like going down the river. Sometimes your personal growth is stuck in an eddy or on a rock. And sometimes it's faster than it's comfortable. You're going through rapids and that kind of thing. But as long as you're kind of going down the stream, you'll get there eventually. So just to kind of recap, for me and for others, you know, figure out who you are, be who you are, be honest about who you are with anybody who matters, and just try to be kind to everybody else. Thank you.
Okay, now we're going to have a moment of stillness and silence. And I would like to read this as we take a moment. Amid all the noise in our lives, we take this moment to sit in silence, to give thanks for this day, to give thanks for all those in our lives who have brought us warmth and love, and to give thanks for the gift of life. Now for a moment of silence. Now it's time for our auditory, and we're having baskets being passed around by Cora and Ben. May there be an offering to sustain and grow the life and mission of this fellowship. May we give in love and in hope.
I'm not a stranger to the dark. Hide away, they say, 'cause we don't want your broken parts. I've learned to be ashamed of all my scars. Run away, they say, knowing I love you as you are. But I won't let them break me down to dust. I know that there's a place for us, for we are glorious. When the sharpest words want to cut me down, I'm gonna send a flood, gonna drown them out. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me, look out, 'cause here I come. And I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen, I make no apologies. This is me. Another round of bullets hits my skin. The fire waiting, 'cause today I won't let the shame sink in. We are bursting through the barricades and reaching for the sun. We are warriors, yeah, that's what we become. I won't let them break me down to dust. I know that there's a place for us, for we are glorious. When the sharpest words want to cut me down, gonna send a flood, gonna drown them out. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me, look out, 'cause here I come. And I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen, I make no apologies. This is me. Whoa. The sharpest words wanna cut me down. I'm gonna send a flood and drown them out. When the sharpest words wanna cut me down, gonna send a flood, gonna drown them out. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me. Look out, 'cause here I come. And I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen, I make no apologies. This is me. This is me.
Now is time for joys and concerns. And we invite you to come up and you can use either of mics. And please raise your hand, we'll call you up. Sandy.
Can I just thank Becky for a lovely talk, in the sense that, for me, it seems the thread goes through all lives, not just the gay segment, but to be during an enchantment in the life, and is by Victoria Chang. Do you love a living person absolutely? Tell them now. In a half unwieldy life you made under the highline sky, while the dead drank from zigzag pools nearby. If they saved you in your wildling capacities, in timing of the world's harm, in a little pettiness, in your own heart, while others look your madrigals in shreds to a tribunal, when others said you should feel grateful to be minimally adequate for the world's triple exposure or some tired committee, the ones who love us, how do they break through our defenses? We're tired today. Come back later. Their baffled voices melting our wax walls with candle. The ones who understand what being is. The glowing, the broken, the wheels, the brave ones. They have their courage. You have yours. When you meet the one you love, it is so rare. When you meet the one who loves you, it is extremely rare.
Yeah, I too wanted to thank Becky for speaking today and sharing her story. I first met her at P5, and she's very gracious to explain some things to me that I did not understand. And it's great to hear her whole story now and see how brave she was during a difficult time in our country to speak her truth. And I think it applies to everyone to find out who you are. Don't take your parents' descriptions of you to heart. Find out who you are and then be who you are. I think it's really important for all of us. Thank you, Becky.
Hi, everyone. Luann and I have been blessed to chosen about 6 years ago to be whole food, plant-based eaters, and during our time doing this, we discovered a lot of things. One of the things was the blue zones of the world. There's 5 of them, and one is in Okinawa, and these folks live to be in their hundreds. And in Okinawa, they choose 5 children from different families, and they put them into a group called a Moai. And so these 5 beings grow up together. And the interesting thing, of course, is they've been doing it for 90-something years. And so can you imagine being loved and cared for by the same people for 90-something years? Isn't that beautiful? And so we formed a Moai here a few months ago, and all 5 of them are here today. And so our 3 guests that are sitting in the middle are 60% of our Moai. So Luann and I and Bill and Tara and Raya are here, and so I just thank you for being here with us and enjoying the beautiful community that's been created here. And thank all of you. Thank you.
I'll share. So my joy is that my trans daughter, Allison, moved up to Flagstaff. And she went to school there, K through 12, has lots of friends and support. And I can already see she's a lot happier. And she's working through whatever it is that we all have to work through. And she sent me a lovely Thanksgiving note, thanking me. And it's hard, parents, because you don't get it all the time. So when you do, it's something to celebrate. And so I'm really happy for her.
Okay. Our sing-along, our closing sing-along, Building a New Way. Feel free to stand up and move around. This is a rock song, so let's do it. We are here.
So now we are closing up our service today, and I want to leave you with a quote from Brene Brown. I had no idea Brene Brown was going to be in the sermon. And she says, owning our story and loving ourselves through the process is the bravest thing we'll ever do. And I want to leave you with an Insight Timer app quote that I say now every day. Talk to yourself as if you're talking to someone you love. Talk to yourself as if you're talking to someone you love. So with that, have a wonderful day.